Good morning, friends. Welcome to Eyes of My Heart with Vicki Jean. It is December the 1st. It is 2024. I don't really know when I'll upload this because sometimes I make these videos and I don't upload them for a few months. But anyway, that's the date. We just had a beautiful Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving was late this year. It was November 28th. And Jason and Ryan came in from Phoenix. Of course, Jackie and the two grandkids, Violet and Logan, were here. So we all celebrated together. And those are very precious, precious times because they don't happen often. And we did a little early Christmas, partial Christmas. And then because Ryan and Jason won't be here at Christmas, Mark and I will celebrate with Jackie and the kiddos. But it was just a relaxing, beautiful, joyful, peaceful time. And I'm just very thankful for that. You know, when I married Mark, I inherited these two children. They were teenagers at the time, and I had never been a parent. So I will admit that first year was a bit of a challenge when we were all were suddenly living in the same house together, and I was adjusting and they were adjusting, and there was, we were in the middle of building a house as well. It was a little bit turbulent, we'll say, but it was also a time of growth for me. It was humbling, and it helped me look at myself a little bit more, to go deep into my heart and realize that relationship is so much more important than rules. You know, I went in thinking, okay, I'm going to organize the house, and there's going to be chores, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that, and it didn't work out that way. You know, Mark had raised those kids. He had full custody of them after his divorce, and so they had a routine down. They had an understanding. They had a flow. And here I came thinking I was going to be the stepmom that, just did everything right. Very humbling, but also very opening to my own heart and soul to see where my fears kept me from being vulnerable enough to enter into a relationship that could have been much better that first year with the kids. I think as I look back, my fear of being rejected was greater than, my fear of being rejected, I think, is what caused me to set up these, quote, household rules. Because if they rejected me, I would just say, well, it was because they didn't want to contribute, to the chores or do the things that I expected. And I could blame it on their inability to adhere to the rules than it was that they could have been rejecting just me. So when we have a fear of rejection, we can easily self-sabotage relationships. I learned that. And I remember journaling in my journal many times about the frustration I felt and not really knowing what to do. And my mom listened to me very patiently and lovingly. And as I began to just open my heart more to God and surrender my need to be liked and to recognize my fear of rejection, I began to grow as a person. So always choose relationship over rules. If that's one thing that I am learning and did learn back then and continue to learn in many different types of relationships and situations, choose relationship, and not superficial relationship, not the need to, they have to like everything about me, but be authentically yourself. If you're afraid of failing as a step parent, let them know that. Just be honest. And thankfully, that was 25 years ago. And over the years, we've developed the relationship that works well for our family. We understand each other. We're still growing and learning and understanding because as Mark and I age and get into retirement and we're not both working full time, and the kids are, getting into their they have been adults for a while, but becoming parents themselves and getting into relationships and marriages, and making their way in life, they're changing too. And so we try to do our best to respect one another's uniquenesses, to give each other grace and understanding. And, I'm just so thankful. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on and on about that, but I know that anytime you come into a blended relationship, marriage, it can be challenging. And that, honestly, I think is a good thing, because it breaks us open to grow. And I'm still growing. But with that said, I also was thinking about my own mom this past Thanksgiving, because she's 95, and I've talked about her before. Her health is rather frail. She still gets around. She still enjoys being with people, but there have been some changes, and I see that. And I found a Bible she gave me. Now, if you're from the 80s, you will recognize this. It was called the Living Bible. And back then, it was like the first Bible that came out that spoke a younger language, that was not the King James, and it just brought things into more of a normal, everyday conversation. And she gave it to me in 1980, like I said, and she wrote to me, to Vicki, "With love from Mom, Christmas, 1980. May the Lord bless and protect you. May the Lord's face radiate with joy because of you." I love that. May he, I probably should put my glasses on. May he be gracious to you, show you his favor, and give you his peace. I love that. But I have not used this Bible in many, many, many years, because I ended up eventually getting the NIV version, and that became my Bible. I've showed that one before. I've used it so much, the cover's torn off, it's highlighted, underlined, pages are ripping out. But I also use this one, and I have gone back, before I got the other one, and I see that I underlined many, many things as well. So even at 19, 20 years of age, I was still hungering and thirsting for this more of God. The more of God that went beyond my evangelical upbringing, that went beyond religion in general, that was calling my heart to the very heart of the Creator. That, as we are told in Scripture, is in whom we live and move and have our being. And I was looking back at some of the things I underlined, and I see even at that young age, I was like underlining things in the Song of Solomon, and the more deep, intimate desires for God, Ecclesiastes. I love it. So anyway, I was thinking of my mom. I wanted to share these today. Pulling out this Bible and looking through it has just been a real joy for me. So I'm trying to just find something that I can leave you with today that apparently spoke to me way back then. Because my mom, she lived her Christian life. She lived the life as a follower of Christ. She didn't argue and debate about doctrine and interpretation of Scripture. She was very devout herself, and but she didn't go around preaching to people. So I want to read here. I'm going to go to Psalm 45, because 46, let's look at this one. Well, this is, I know, one of her favorites, one of mine, so I'll share it with you today. God is our refuge and strength, a tested help in times of trouble. And so we need not fear, even if the world blows up and the mountains crumble into the sea. Let the oceans roar and foam, let the mountains tremble. There is a river of joy flowing through the city of God, the sacred home of the God above all gods. God himself is living in that city. Therefore it stands unmoved despite the turmoil everywhere. He will not delay his help. And that city of God is here. That kingdom of heaven is here. You know, that's metaphorical here, but God is our refuge and our strength, a tested help in times of trouble. I know my mom experienced that. You know, she was a pastor's wife for many years, and they traveled and pastored many different congregations. And if you've ever pastored a church, you know there can be challenges. But she was so loving, so kind, so forgiving. And I think it's because she took all of her worries and her anxieties directly to God. She never gossiped. She never talked demeaningly or bad about anyone. I can honestly say that because I have heard other people talk badly about people in the church and congregants and things like that. But my mom was always the peacemaker and one who wanted people to see the best in others. So remember that today. Whatever you might be facing, God is our refuge. And I love that it says, so we need not fear even if the world blows up and the mountains crumble into the sea. There's a river of joy flowing through the kingdom of heaven, the city of God within us, where our truest self dwells. And we can tap into that love that goes beyond what's happening external, but hopefully begins to flow out into that world. We need that more today, I think, than ever, with all that is going on in the world. Don't get sucked into it. Don't get sucked in to the negativity, to the hopelessness, to the despair. It's okay to feel sad and disappointed and uncertain, but those can be portals and ways that open us to this refuge that we can find in God in the midst of any set of circumstances. So those are my thoughts today. God bless you guys this December 1st or whatever date you might hear this. Let it be the beginning. Let it be a new beginning of how we're going to trust, how we're going to keep our heart open to the God that is love, to become all that we can be, and to love in all the ways that we can love, and be light and peace and healing in this world. God bless you guys. I'll end with my mom's blessing again because it's beautiful. May the Lord bless and protect you. May the Lord's face radiate with joy because of you. May he be gracious to you, show you his favor, and give you his peace. That's the peace that passes understanding and will stand firm and fill you up no matter what. Take care. Love you, Mom.